For more perspective on Afghanistan, let's go to Einar Tangen in Beijing. He's a political and economic affairs commentator. Einar, as you well know, China shares a border with Afghanistan. It's 76 kilometers long. And in May, China began to voice some alarm about this hasty withdrawal of U.S. troops, and they were fearful it would severely affect the peace process as well as stability in the region. So talk about how things are being viewed there in Beijing with the last few days hearing these stories of soldiers fleeing over the border into Tajikistan, Taliban gobbling up land. How's this being seen there?
Well, it's being seen for what it is. I mean, the U.S. is walking away from a war that it started with no discernible effect other than the tragedies that have happened in between. Remember, it was Joe Biden as president, when he was in the Senate, who voted for an invasion of Afghanistan. And, since then, now nothing has happened. So very difficult. This whole idea that, somehow the U.S. can walk away not only from Afghanistan, but Iraq, Syria, Yemen, all the other places that have been affected by it, is bringing a lot of questions. So from China's perspective, they know that Biden's wish is to refocus on Asia. They're hoping that it's not going to be the same kind of a result.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the regional concerns that China is expressing. Wang Yi also saying in May that the 8 members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which of course includes neighbors of Afghanistan, should really be watching what's happening there and perhaps get involved. So talk to us about perhaps a role for SCO. Is there a role for China or the UN, for that matter, moving forward as Afghanistan starts to see this chaos that we're seeing in the last few days?
Yeah, the question is governance. Who is going to be governing, Afghanistan, and how are they going to establish that? It would actually behoove the Taliban to show some mercy, not go on a killing spree of revenge. If they were able to do that, I think there is a path to say that they are the legitimate government if they are in fact in control, and to work with them. Remember, when they emerge from this, they will be completely broke. The Taliban does not have any kind of support out there from large regional economies that could help them. So they would be in desperate straits. They've been at war against 2 successive countries, first Russia and the U.S. It's hopeful that they can establish a peaceful government and not spread what they know, which is war, to other areas, perhaps trying to reunite the Pashtun groups that are in the neighboring areas. If that happens, you're going to see even more consternation. So for the SCO, it's absolutely necessary that they're involved, but in a friendly way, not in a way that says that they're going to impose ideology or government systems on Afghanistan. That has not worked.
Let me revisit some of the points you were making earlier, and that's the larger implications of this. Bloomberg has a piece with a headline that reads, Afghanistan was a limited war with limited success. Donald Stoker, of course, came out with that book back in 2019 titled Why America Loses War. The premise of his book was that these limited wars are popular with strategists. You can sell them to the public, but the idea of a limited war is actually meaningless. We see that here. It's a 20-year-long war. It's deceptive. Thousands of Americans died in combat in Afghanistan. Do you think the U.S. is going to learn from these entanglements?
Well, that's the concern. They haven't seemed to. I mean, the pattern that was repeated in Afghanistan is still out there. The U.S. is still trying to influence other countries, but now they have a new target, which is China. And the concern is that they try to instigate some sort of regional destabilization in countries that they see as not friendly, because that's exactly what has happened. So these limited wars, unfortunately, they seem to have strategic value at the time in the context of a Cold War. In actuality, they accomplish nothing except spreading more confusion, death, destruction, tragedy.